Hey everybody, welcome to Phantom History House Calls. I'm Tim. This is Steve. How are you doing, Steve?
I am good. It feels good to be back on here.
Absolutely. We're excited about it tonight. We have another paranormal investigator here with us sharing their evidence, and we have the history. What are we talking about?
We are talking about the SS American Victory, a merchant marine ship that is parked right here in Tampa Bay, Florida.
So all about that coming up tonight right here on Phantom History House Calls. Okay, so this is a giant ship that's parked here in Tampa?
Well, it's giant, but not by today's standards because it was built in 1945. So with this new format that we're doing this show is we're going to bring on a historian here in a minute who's going to talk about the background. But this ship has been around since the 1940s, served in several different wars, but it's not a battleship. It's a merchant marine ship, which means it really just kind of ships supplies.
So we're going to learn all about that.
We'll learn all about that.
And then who's here to share evidence?
So our good friend Tiffany Thamer is here, who is with Feeling Paranormal, who has stayed with us at the B&B when we had that up and running. I actually went with her when I explored the ship a couple of years ago, which we're going to look at a clip of that later on too. And it's just a ship that I have loved and I have been on a few times, and it's so cool to finally get to talk about it.
Ready to bring her on?
Absolutely.
All right. So Tiffany's here with us. Hi, Tiffany. Thanks for being here.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to see you and to talk to you. We've become good friends over the years as we've kind of collaborated on a couple of things. So thank you for doing this with us as we're still learning our new format.
You're welcome.
Before we dive into the SS Victory, tell us a little bit about you and your paranormal team.
Okay, well, it's called Feeling Paranormal, and we are based out of Southwest Florida. I'm in Englewood, and then my other team member, Mark, he's up in St. Pete, and we do a lot of historical buildings, a lot of county ones as well, and we try to use very scientific methods and pretty much try to debunk everything that we can and not really just take anything at face value. We want to make sure what we're presenting is something that we couldn't recreate it, even though we tried. We always try to recreate it as many different ways as we can. We've actually spent almost an entire investigation once trying to recreate something that we couldn't at the Heard Opera House. But
Right, which is of course in Arcadia and is one of those crazy haunted locations that I've not been to yet, and I want to get there.
You need to go. You can come with me.
I know. I need to make that happen. I just have to drink a lot of coffee and sleep late that day so I can make myself stay up that late.
They have a haunted inn down there too. That's right around the corner. You could also stay there.
That's fantastic. Oh, I see a road trip for us.
You guys have fun.
Yeah.
I was with you till you got to the haunted inn.
Oh, you know.
So let's talk about this wonderful, cool ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And again, we have a historian here who can tell us all about it. We bring her on before we dive in, right? Is that what we do?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to do the history part first?
Yeah, so we'll do that first. I had the great opportunity to talk to Lindsay Ryan, who works at the SS American Victory and is a historian, like an actual PhD historian, and told me all about the history of the ship, what it's done, what it's been through. And we always talk about, where the past and the paranormal collide. So we need to learn about the past before we figure out what's haunting the thing. So check out my conversation with Lindsay Ryan.
Here we go.
So many personalities to it, depending on where you are. And it's been around for a while. If I did my homework right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was commissioned in 1945. Is that right?
Yeah, so she was launched on May 24th, 1945. They brought her, she was in the James River Reserve Fleet in Virginia. They brought her to Tampa in 1999. And then 4 years later, in 2003, she opened as a museum to the public.
And she's not a battleship. She's more of like a merchant marine ship. Is that the right term?
Exactly. So she was a World War II cargo ship. So her actual title is SS American Victory. So that Victory actually comes from the class of ship that she is. So there were 534 Victory class ships built total. So she would have moved cargo. Some Victory ships would move troops when needed as troop transports, but ultimately they're moving anything you can really think of that you need during a war. So parts of trains, whole trucks, tanks, food, people, you name it. Those types of cargo ships are what were moving that materials.
Yeah, and of course, if she was commissioned in 1945, she's been through a lot of different conflicts. I mean, that was the tail end of World War II, or had
Yeah, so it was the tail end. So that at this point, fighting in the Atlantic had already ended. At this point, we're kind of waiting for the invasion of Japan. Our ship is launched. She is pretty much immediately sent to wait in the Philippines for this invasion. And if you know your World War II history, that didn't end up happening. Japan did surrender. And then from there, many ships like the SS American Victory went on to help with the rebuilding program.
how you said there were, 500 plus of these type ships, but there's only a few remaining now. Is that right?
Yeah, so there is open to the public. We have the SS American Victory in Tampa, so we're the only one on the East Coast. And then there are two more Victory ships. The Lane Victory and the Red Oak Victory are both in California. And
Yeah, and they've all seen so much. I mean, we talked about World War II, but I believe the SS American Victory did some work during Vietnam, Korea,
yeah, so
that too.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So she served as well in Korea and Vietnam. A lot of the Victory ships served in Korea, especially as they were pretty new. That they were built in 1945, and people don't realize how close like World War II and the Korean War were to each other. There was really not that much time in between.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of ships, a lot bigger, but when you see the ship from the shore and then you walk in, it's really expansive inside.
Yeah, the square footage is massive. Her cargo tonnage is 10,000. We do have some videos on board, and you can find them online as well, and they're really cool. Some old news programs showing them lowering, whole trains kind of into, the train engine into these ships.
And tell me a little bit about the people who were on these ships.
So during World War II, the ship would have been manned by merchant mariners. So during World War II, it was the U.S. Merchant Marine, but they were working on these ships all throughout World War II. And then they also had the Naval Armed Guard on board. So you would have had around 42 merchant mariners on board during World War II, and then around 15 to 20 armed guard from the Navy. So these men were sent basically to operate the guns that are on board these cargo ships. It's kind of just like a last protective measure thing. If you've got to use your guns on a cargo ship, you're not in a good situation,
Are there times that you're able to just kind of explore it, being a history lover and a historian? What is that like for you?
Absolutely. I feel like when I'm on board, I can just kind of feel the way people might have felt on board sometimes, especially like when it's really hot on board. So I always try to think of like, if I'm hot now, imagine like what the people in the engine room would have felt when the engine's running and they're in the Pacific Ocean and it's hot. I always try to take on what I'm feeling at that moment and maybe equate it to what somebody would have been feeling.
Is there anything you
Sure.
want to share specifically about your time there in the past 3.5, 4 years at the ship?
Sure. Well, one of my favorite things is a lot of people are kind of familiar with like the Rosie the Riveter persona, like we can do it. We like to say we had Wendy the Welder because our ship is welded, not riveted.
It's great.
So I always like to remind people that the ships and the planes and the tanks and all of these things that were the people, and especially the women who were home building and learning how to weld, learning how to do these trades very quickly.
The women got it ready for the men to take it out, which I love.
Yeah.
It is a incredible ship with a lot of history, spooky and not, which I love.
Mhm.
And I always love how all that connects. And I really appreciate you sharing your insight with me and kind of sharing your love of history at the same time.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's just a cool place. And everybody, if you have not been there, I definitely recommend checking it out. Thanks for all that you do to preserve history. She was such a delight to be able to.
Now we can.
She knows so much about the history of the place. Tiffany, I don't know if you've ever met Lindsay or worked with her or not.
I have not specifically met Lindsay. I have met several of the other people that do work on the ship. Usually we'll have the same group of docents there when we go and gate, because we go usually about once a year. I've been there 4 times now. This last time was my 4th time.
Okay. And you were just there a couple weeks ago. It wasn't very long ago
Yes.
that you made your visit.
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. So when you go to a place like this that you've been at before, do you go in? Well, obviously you have some expectations because obviously there's something going on there because you keep going back. Did you
Right.
get some surprises this time when you went?
Yeah, I would say that I did. We had one moment. Of course, we were not filming yet. We were just setting things up.
course.
And as much as I want to see things move, I don't get to see things move very often. And we were actually down. You remember in the very front of the ship, like there's the museum part, and then there's the next museum part that has the rowboats in it and the open area where you can see down to the cargo, and then you go up to the very front. We had just set up some cat balls over there. They were sitting on boxes. They had been sitting there for probably about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden one of them lit up, and I just saw the light out of the corner of my eye, and then it got pushed off the boxes that it was sitting on. And just one of them. There were 5 of them sitting on the same box.
So it's not like the box shook. It was individual.
No. Yep. It was just that one. And of course, the cameras were not on yet. We were just setting them up. And I took off running back out to the main area to tell everybody what had just happened. And that is the first time that I have seen something physically move on the ship there.
Yeah. So you were kind enough to share with us some of the evidence that you caught on your recent visit. But before we go into that, I'm always interested from a paranormal investigator perspective. Does the ship have a feeling that it's haunted, and why do you think it's haunted? What's going on there?
I think that it definitely has the feeling of it being a little bit creepy, because there are so many corridors and there's so many turns and rooms that you can look into, and you're just kind of like not sure what are you going to see around this corner and around that door frame, and you have the long hallways, so it just kind of it gives you a little bit of a weird feeling, because you're just not really sure what to expect. Most people probably don't go on ships very often, so they're not sure what to expect. So I think it's more the element of surprise. And I would, if I had to say why I think it's haunted, is because I think it just holds a lot of energy, even though it didn't see any battle. Just everybody that was on the ship, they're all thinking about the war. They're taking the supplies there. And I think that it just leaves a really big imprint on it. Also, with it being out on the water all the time, I feel that water is a conductor for paranormal activity, kind of help things flow just like water does.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with it as well, just kind of holding it in there.
Right. And of course, this was a merchant marine ship, so it wasn't a branch of the military that was running this. It was citizen volunteers essentially.
Yes.
And the interview I did with Lindsay, there's a longer version that's going to go on our YouTube channel as well. I had to edit it down for tonight, which talks a little bit about that. But I want to get into a piece of evidence here first. I just want to play it first and have everybody listen. It's brief. It's only like 14 seconds. Then we'll talk about it. Then we'll play it again with some clues about what we're supposed to hear. So check this out. It's recorded by you and your team on the SS American Victory just recently.
I'd like to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Were you a civilian captain or were you a military captain?
Okay, so first of all, where is that on the ship that you were recording that?
That's up in the front of the ship in the captain's quarters.
Okay.
And the camera was in the back area, and where everybody was sitting is like the sitting area where they would eat, and they have like a desk set up to do some work and whatnot. So.
Okay. And we're going to play it again without the words on it. We are going to show everybody what it does say, but what word or what should we be listening for? What did you pick up in this?
We are listening for somebody saying, "Hey." It's like a very whispery "hey."
Listen for the whisper that says "hey." We're going to play it for you.
Yeah.
Again.
I'd like to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Were you a civilian captain or were you a military captain?
All right, better? Oh, I think your Wi-Fi is being a little bit strange. She's like, that's what's going on. All right, so while you're getting that figured out, just wave if you can hear me. Okay, can't hear you yet though. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a clip that has some text on it now that will kind of illustrate where that sound comes from. So watch this. We'll give you a hint on when it plays.
I'd like to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Were you a civilian captain or were you a military captain?
Let's solve this problem.
Yeah, I love that capture. So you heard that later, right? You didn't hear that live.
Yes, we did not hear that live. It was when I was reviewing everything. That was on one of our trail cameras. And one of my favorite things about that clip is the fact that when it happens, nobody reacts to it because they didn't hear it then. Nobody moves, nobody flinches, nobody's, did you just hear something or anything?
Right.
Nobody heard it at that time. So that is a classic EVP.
And I'm glad you said that because I think in this next clip we're going to play, that actually happens where I think this is the one where you say, hey, did you say this word?
Yes.
If I remember, you know which one I'm talking about. So
I do.
Where is this clip recorded?
That one that you're talking about is actually also in the captain's room.
So what is going on in the captain's room? Why is it so active?
I think one of the captains is there sometimes. And we heard that. And the funny thing is we didn't get anything else in that room. Now, the time that we were there before, we were getting a lot of action in there through the spirit box and the K2s. But this time we didn't have that in there. We had just a disembodied voice, which is the next one that's coming up. And then the EVP that we also caught, which was the one we just watched.
Okay, so we're going to watch another one from that room. Again, no clues on this one. It's a little bit longer. It's about 29 seconds. Check this one out.
Will the camera see it now?
You don't see a flash.
It's the cup, I think.
Did one of you just say yeah?
No, I thought that was someone up. No,
Did you hear it from up there?
I thought it was my dad. I heard someone say yeah.
So I like how you pointed out. You're like, wait a minute, what is going on? And I heard, I heard my friend John, who was I think recording.
Yes,
was like, no,
John
no.
was the one recording. Yes, yes.
So you were the only one that heard it live. It seems
No,
like.
they heard it too. John heard it too.
Oh,
John
they did
did
hear it.
hear it
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but nobody knew where it came from. That's what it was.
Nobody
Yeah.
knew where it came from, and as soon as where we had to cut the clip, obviously, I had ran out into the hallway to look and see, is there somebody standing right there? There was nobody standing right there. A couple rooms down, there was somebody. I walked over there immediately. Hey, did you say anything just a minute ago? And they said, no. What did you hear? And then so I told them what they heard, and they said, oh, absolutely not. It was one guy. He was sitting in there just observing quietly. And then another guy had walked in from outside, and he was like, no, I wasn't anywhere near there. And it was just the quietest little whisper saying, yeah, And I had just said, I think it's Teacup that's making the little device go off the triangle. It's called a flux device. It's used for yes no answers. There's a red side and a green side. And so I had said, I think the cup is doing it. And somebody in response says, yeah.
So agreed
And
with
it's
you that
quiet,
it's the cup.
but we heard it with our ears, though.
Well, and I think that's what's so fascinating about these investigations is if you have the right team, everybody is very quiet. Everybody is making sure not to interfere with any potential evidence, which your team is really great at. So we're going to play the video again, this time with some graphics on it to kind of help people hear it. So we're going to play it one more time.
Okay.
Will the camera see it though? Or no?
They don't see the flash.
It's the cup, I think. Did one of you just say yeah?
No, I thought that was someone up. No,
Did you hear it from up there?
I thought it was my dad. I heard someone say yeah.
I love how so matter of fact you are. Tiffany, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, how often do you hear an EVP live? Like 50% of the time, 2% of the time?
Probably like 10% of the time.
Okay.
So it
All
does
right.
not happen often. I will find a lot of EVPs for whatever reason. I don't know why. Usually on my video camera, not as much on my audio recorders. So I'm not sure why that is. But the funny thing is almost every investigation that we go to, if we catch an EVP, we always get one that says, hey. So, and it always sounds like the same type of cadence to the voice. So I have to wonder, is that, just the general sound, or do we have a friend who likes to come with us?
Oh,
I
so may not
don't
be
know.
connected to place.
I don't know. Possibly it's something that I've thought about just because it happens a lot. Because I feel like not every spirit is going to come up and say, hey.
Yeah.
Like you think they're going to say hi or how are you or something completely different, but it's the same.
And you said you've been to this ship 4 times now. So
yes.
You and I have talked before on other podcasts and other conversations where spirits get to know you after a while. So could that be part of this too?
It could. I think that it definitely could be. I haven't gotten anything concrete or really super looked into it. It's kind of a new thing that we're thinking of because after reviewing so many things, you just start to notice it. And then you say to other people, doesn't that sound the same? Well, yeah, it does. Didn't we get that last time? And the time before? And the time before?
Do you have an honorary member of your paranormal?
I might.
Group, which is great.
I might.
I want to share one more clip before we take a look at the inside of the Victory. Like we said at the top of the show, I had the opportunity to go with you and your team a couple of years ago now. So I put together a little compilation video that kind of represents what an investigation with your team looks like, minus the creepy music that I added. But we are going to look at one more clip first. So like we did with the first one, I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll set the stage and we'll play it again with the words on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, of course, you've seen that, so you probably heard it very easily.
Yes, immediately.
So that looks like we're in the galley. We're in the kitchen of some kind, right?
Yes, we are. And nobody was in the kitchen at that time because my trail cameras, they all have timestamps on them, and it will tell you exactly what time it is. And if you listen, you can actually hear the people who are in other areas, and you can hear that their voices sound normal, just like a faraway voice. And I find that a lot of the EVPs have just that same kind of whispery, you like really have to listen to it to hear it,
Yeah.
but they all kind of have a little bit of the same sound. There are some that we get where it's like they are just yelling right into whatever you have recording, and you're like, whoa. But we find a lot of them are like that.
So in this clip we just watched, what did you hear and what should we be listening for?
I heard the word help.
Okay.
Sounds like maybe it's a lady's voice.
Okay, female voice that says the word help. Okay, we're going to play it again, and this one I think is going to have a little bit of help. Help for the word help. First I have to spot it, so check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I now want to ask a question because
Yes,
there weren't normally women on these ships, correct?
that is true. So that is an interesting question. If I had to take a guess, I would say maybe a wife came to visit, maybe while they were docked. They might have had a time where they were allowed to bring family on for just a little bit of time, and for whatever reason, it could be a residual thing, where it's just kind of a replay where maybe she was there at that time and was asking for help for something. It doesn't sound like she's in like a serious stress, so maybe she just needed help because something was up high, or something
So
too
I have a
heavy.
theory.
You have a
Okay.
theory.
I have a theory. So Lindsay was talking about how the ship was built by mostly women
Mhm.
because all the men were off at war.
Look at you. That's
So
good.
it could have been Wendy the welder
Could be
rather
that
than Rose the
too.
welder. Yeah.
Yes.
So that could be a
Could
possibility.
have been.
Well, then I have one other question too. Are we assuming
Yes.
that all of these spirits are from that time, or is it possible that since it's been docked there, dramatic things have happened with people that are on the ship visiting?
It is possible for that. It is also possible that perhaps other spirits that may have been in the vicinity were kind of drawn to the ship because they sensed that there were others there, or they felt the energy there from either just the events that happened and the energy that was there, or maybe the water brought them over. And there's so many questions, and the more you investigate, there's not more answers, there's just more questions.
Yeah, this is what's cool. Like, I think this is a great example of why so many people we have met love doing this kind of work, because
Absolutely.
it's like
Yes.
you're Sherlock Holmes. You're being a detective,
I know,
and you're
it
being a
is a
historian, and you're
Yes.
there on site. So it's all very cool and interesting. And I love that this is a great example of, like, this sounds like something that would be fun to do and interesting to do.
It is a
Yeah.
lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
And
And it's not scary. Everybody thinks it's so scary. It's really not. It's literally like a mystery. You're trying to figure it out. And I love it.
But I do
Yeah.
think that people get scared by the idea of ghosts on the most basic level.
Yeah.
And if they're not like, I have since become, I've gotten into understand how the people in this investigative world think about these spirits,
Mhm.
and it's more inquisitive than looking for something
Absolutely.
that's going to get me. And that's a whole different way of thinking about the spirit
Yes.
world. And
Yes.
yeah.
yeah, it's about
And
who is
that-
it rather than who's going to get beat.
That's what I want to do with my investigating, because when I was younger, I was terrified of all of this. Absolutely terrified, because I would see things and I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on. So part of my wanting to start this group and doing the group investigations like we do is to show people that it doesn't have to be this scary, terrifying thing, that it's more.
I think we might have lost her for a second.
I think she froze.
Oh,
there you are.
am I
You're
back?
Are you back?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we lost you just a second. But I love this point because I feel like there's like this thing going on right now in our world where people seem to be afraid of everything that they don't understand and decided that it's evil and we're going to have to fight it. And I'm like, wait a minute, let's take a page from the paranormal investigators, honestly. And it's like, let's not be scared and assume the worst and be afraid, but let's explore, let's learn, let's study, let's explore, let's get together and talk about it. Like, this is all a very healthy way of approaching the world. And I'm not get too highfalutin here, but like, I do think that this is a good model for how I wish more people would just interact with the world these days.
Right. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree 100%. And I hope that I'm helping people to be able to understand, that let's look at everything a different way, and that's what I tried to teach my kids, that same thing. My oldest son was absolutely terrified of everything as well, basically because he didn't understand it. And we actually ended up staying in a very, very haunted Airbnb after Hurricane Ian, and he had a lot of experiences there, including hearing breathing in the middle of the night. And for whatever reason, he just said, okay, this is where we're staying. I have to accept this. I have to deal with it. And now he actually thinks it's cool. I have a haunted teddy bear named Rufus. He stays with me in my room. When my son comes over, he walks over and he's like, hey, Rufus, how are you? So now he's not bothered by it, because we've talked about it. We've kind of explored it. I've shown him, hey, this is, some things that you can use to talk to them. You can also say, if you don't want to talk to them, hey, this is my space, or this is my time right now. I don't want to talk with you at this time. Maybe we can talk at X, Y, and Z time. It is fine to set those boundaries.
Yeah. And when I went to the ship with you a couple of years ago, I went in reporter mode. You were all doing your investigation. I was just kind of Roman, asking you a million questions, try not to annoy you too much. But to kind of set the stage, and before we run out of time, I wanted to share a clip that I pieced together.
Please.
3.5 minutes that just kind of shows what it's like on an investigation and what the ship and the interior of the ship looks like. Of course, this is very brief, like a 4-hour visit. But I thought it was kind of a cool way to kind of look at what you experience when you go there. Check out this look at the SS American Victory docked in Tampa Bay. I am standing in the engine room. This is crazy. Look below me. It's a long way down. And it's a long way up. This is so amazing. I consider myself a pretty brave person, but I found this hatch on the SS Victory, and this is where it leads. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, I'm not going down there by myself. And we've been on the ship for about 2 hours, I guess. Got some weird things on the obelisk. Also got maybe a weird photo, I'm not real sure, in a porthole. I'm gonna talk to the professionals about that and see what they think it is, if anything. But I'm actually at the bow of the ship, so the front of the ship. And it's very cool because you can really see how big this ship is. That was such a fun trip that I did to the ship. Again, that was back in 23, I think is when I went in August. And it was about 2 million degrees whenever I was on the ship touring with Tiffany and her team. And again, that's just a short look of what it looks like inside. And it kind of gives you the idea of how the stage is set and what it looks like. Of course, lights are off and all of that. And again, I know Tiffany was with us there that night as well. I don't know how much of that you got.
Sorry.
I don't know how much of it-
Technical issues.
It is. We had some technical issues before too, so it's fine. So I don't know how much of that you got a chance to see.
Oh, I saw most of it, and then the Wi-Fi just totally went out.
So I thought it was like a good representation of kind of what the ship looks like at night.
Mhm.
It's dark,
Yes.
it's eerie, like you said, those long hallways, that kind of stuff. So I know we're running out of time. I have two more quick pieces of evidence I wanted to talk about if you have time to hang out.
Absolutely.
All right. So one of them is a photograph.
Yes.
Which I love. And I think whenever I was there with you a couple of years ago, we may have encountered the same figure.
Yes. It is from that time that we were there. I included it because it was so good and because I knew you would remember it. It is actually from the last time we were there with you. However, I will tell you, right in that corner over there, where it's circled, is exactly where I had put those cat balls, where the one lit up and then got pushed off.
Really?
Yes.
And that, of course, the cat balls was this most recent visit. This is from
Right. Correct. Yes.
So what are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at right where it's circled. It looks like there is the outline and kind of the forming of a person sitting over there. And there was no one over there. It was just the boxes that were on the floor.
Mhm.
And we're all sitting facing the other way. So nobody noticed it at that time. And the
I
person
remember-
who took that picture, it was Mark.
Okay. And I remember that night when it was caught, because I remember it was getting passed around in the cargo hold
Yes.
where it, like, started the night, and everybody was so excited, and I think multiple people had caught the shadow figure too.
Hmm.
And I know we had a psychic with us who had picked up some strange things. So
Right. Yep.
you said earlier, it's not creepy, but that was a little creepy. I'll have to.
See, I see that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing ever. Somebody came in and was sitting there in the room while we were sitting there. They were interested in what we were doing. They wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah, casually joining in to kind of see what all the hubbub is about, in this.
Yep.
In this show. This last piece of evidence I want to share with everybody that you shared with us, I believe was also caught in the captain's quarters. That's not an EVP.
Just wondering if there is.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
That's all right.
that's
So-
up in the bridge.
Up in the bridge, okay.
Yes, and the K2 meter is actually sitting on one of the log books. I had went up there on my own. Everybody else was like 2 floors below me. And I just thought, I'm going to go up there by myself and see what's going on.
And something did go on.
It did.
Let's check out this clip with the K2 meter.
Just wondering if there is anybody up here that could maybe make a noise or maybe wanted to use these meters here with the green lights on them to maybe let me know that you're here. Are there any captains up here at this moment? There are. Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
So, two things about that.
Yes,
Obviously, it's black and white, so you can't tell that it's different colored lights.
right.
But one, you got the reaction to the light once you finished your question, and the
Yes.
K2 meter that's next to it, nothing happened.
Did not go off. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And that's why I like to set 2 out. And that's also why I like to, with the clips, show a little bit before and a little bit after so that everybody can see, okay, it's not like it's going off every couple seconds and I just grab that one part like that. I'm showing, okay, there's an intelligence to this. They're only answering after I finished my question. In my opinion, was very polite as well.
mhm. Yeah, because it didn't like yell at you and go crazy.
Right.
Waited
Yeah.
for the question, said, "Oh, boop, yes, I'm here."
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And a couple of comments. Charlotte, thank you for watching. Carla, thanks for watching. Carla is a good friend of mine, my best friend for almost 30 years. We went to the
Oh,
Victory
awesome.
not too long after it opened as a museum. So this was like 2015, so it's been over 20 years or so by then. And we encountered somebody like up, and this was during the day, during a tour, self-guided tour. We talked to this gentleman who like shared all this wealth of knowledge about the place.
Mm-hmm.
And exited, we thanked the people at the front and said, "Oh, the guy you have up there in, I guess the galley or the 8, was
Mhm.
full of knowledge." And they're like, "We don't have anybody on staff up there today." And we were like, "What?" So it kind of blew our mind a little bit. It could have been a coincidence, but
Right. Yes, but you're not really sure.
really
That's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah. So ever since then, we're like, "Oh, we may have met a ghost, and had an actual conversation." We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When's your next trip?
Wow.
You're going to go again next year?
Yes, we will go again next year. We try to go once a year, and we do a group investigation when we go, and we have usually about 15 people or so go. And it's huge. Like you can be on that ship and not even run into another person the whole time you're there. I love that place. It's great. As a place to go as a museum, just to see everything when they're open during the day. I've been through with my dad and my daughter, and it is also great at night. And when they do the Halloween haunted house as
Yes.
well, which I also wonder if that gets the spirits' attention and draws more in because they see them doing stuff like that.
I might be sending like a, "Hey,
Possible.
we're here, come play with us."
Yeah.
What's your take on all this tonight?
Well, I love how you do your thing, Tiffany. Like it's just
Thank you.
we talk about it. I like that everybody's having fun, but also really being professional about it. And I think that's the way this should work. So I just want to react to that, and I just think it's really cool. Like it makes you want to do it, right? Like I think it's like, why not go investigate and have some fun and try to see what you can find?
Right.
And I think it's very cool that you're doing, and I love how you're very articulate and you can explain it. Now I do have one question. This seems like a
Absolutely.
lot of things to find. What's your typical number of things you come away with on an investigation? Is it just depend or?
Yeah, it honestly just depends. I've been to places before where we literally got nothing. I've also been to places before where stuff only happened off camera. I've been to places that, you know, every couple minutes something else is getting picked up. I think it depends on a little bit how comfortable that the spirits feel with you and if they feel like interacting, because they're not a circus act. You can't make them perform. You can only ask them nicely if they would like to interact with you.
Yeah.
So usually maybe 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
Unless we were there for a couple days or had cameras set up for quite a while.
And then that would be a lot of evidence to go through.
Oh, yes. I spend so many hours because there are so many cameras, and there have been places that we've left them up overnight and through the next day. And it is a lot.
Well, that's part of the other thing that I think is so fascinating to me is how committed people are to this, because I mean, imagine you have all these cameras and you're going to very carefully comb through all of that potential footage. It's quite the dedication to the craft.
It is. What I've done is I have ended up getting a lot of motion and audio activated cameras where they're only going to start recording if they're picking up a noise, if they're picking up changes in light, if they're picking up a shadow or something like that. I actually use a lot of baby monitors because they pick up just the slightest little noises, because everybody wants to know what is going on with their kiddos. So they work really well.
So a good idea.
Yeah, I can see it.
And to add on to what Tim said, anybody is welcome to join your group. You don't have to be a professional.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If people are interested in joining you on one of these future paranormal investigations, where can they find you? Social media, all that good stuff, so they can sign up and learn.
Right. Well, the easiest way is on Facebook under Feelin' Paranormal, and it's spelled Pheelin, Paranormal, kind of a play on words. That is the easiest way. I try to respond to everything pretty quickly, or one of my other team members will. I'm on there a lot. We also do have our YouTube channel. There was a while that I didn't have anything posted. I've been posting a little bit more frequently now. You can also email me at feelinparanormal@gmail.com. And I do post all of our events on the Facebook page. And if you follow us on there, you'll be able to see all the new ones. There are a couple new ones that I'm working on, including the St. Augustine Lighthouse. We're working on getting that set up for a private investigation.
Which will be amazing.
And of course, anybody, if you are not sure all that stuff she just said, just contact Steve and he'll make sure and get you pointed right where you need to go. So you can always reach out to us.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm connected, and Tiffany is really connected to the paranormal world. So I'm that footstep towards her. So if you can't track her down,
You're a connection to Tiffany's.
I'm a connection to Tiffany and like 2 other people.
Yeah. And like you said, you don't have to have any experience. We have a lot of first-time people come in and investigate with us. You can use our equipment. You can walk around with us. You can go explore on your own. We try to leave it open for everybody, and we just always try to ask everybody to be respectful and kind to not only the space, but to the spirits that are there as well.
Yeah. Good motto, good words to live by. And thank you, Tiffany, so much.
Thank you.
Your crazy busy schedule as super mom and super investigator to talk with us. So it's always great seeing you. And thanks for all the great information and the evidence. I love looking through it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, wonderful job. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon, we hope.
All right.
Thanks for
Bye.